Hey there everyone, this is Jeremy, the Music Andy, and we're here today to talk about Time Skiffs from Animal Collective. Coming from Baltimore, Maryland, this is a four-piece psychedelic pop, progressive pop, Neo-psych group that has just a wide variety of instrumentations: guitars, synths, bass, drums, pianos, auto harps, samples. I mean, the list goes on. Neo-psych and psychedelic music all together is a genre that I've kind of floated in and out of my whole life. Growing up, I really liked the Beatles, and that moved into Pink Floyd. I liked Tame Impala, and that turned into Deer Hunter. I liked Flaming Lips, and that kind of turned into Spiritualized. I guess what I'm saying is that when it came to psychedelic music, I always kind of liked psychedelic rock a little bit more. But again, there's always been those psychedelic pop, progressive pop albums that kind of came out that I really liked, especially Long Season's Fishman. I mean, that's a classic. Everybody likes that album, of course. I know Animal Collective from Strawberry Jam, but I only listened to that when I was just at the beginning of my musical journey, and I really didn't like it as much. I felt it was sometimes a little too abrasive, and I'm sure that's kind of weird to some people, but at the time, when you're used to such more mainstream music, hearing that was a very big shock. I would love to go back and listen to it now, but for now, I'm very excited to listen to this album from them, because I should have been listening to this band a long time ago. As usual, I'm going to talk about the positives and then the negatives, but spoiler alert, there is a lot more positives than there are negatives on this album. Really easy, quick little thing that I want to point out that I usually don't do in my album reviews, but I think that it's important to say, and I should start doing it more. Animal Collective has beautiful album covers, and this is something that, again, I like on this album. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about it, but this album cover is very abstract. It is very expressive. It's very surreal. These are all art, like, genres, blends that I love together. They do it fantastically. They have a lot of color variety in this, and this is something that goes on with all of their albums. I think that they're all very standout-ish. They're very nice. You can see that there's obviously some quality put into it, some time put into it. Again, I love this album cover. Now going with the music, which is the main purpose of an album review, I saw a lot of people. Now going on with music, which is the main thing that you want to talk about with an album review, we are going to stand out that some people that I saw talking about this album said that there were some very good songs and there were some duds on this album. And I completely disagree with that. I think that for the most part, this album, throughout the entire thing, is very, very consistent, with only really one song that was kind of a dud for me, if you want to say that. Tracks 1 through 6 are very fun. They're very upbeat, psych pop with some nice progressions going on. They really get these kind of retro funk future feelings kind of flowing throughout your body listening to the front half of this album. The choruses, the hooks on this front half especially, are very strangely addictive with how quirky and unique the vocals are done on this. But again, there are some moments that are absolutely beautiful that aren't abstract, not very abrasive, that happen in this album, and the harmonizing of this group is fantastic when it really just pulls all together. The choruses, hooks, especially on the front half of this album, are very quirky, they're very abstract, they're very standoffish at times. The choruses and hooks all throughout this album, but especially on the front half, are strangely addictive for how unique and strange and odd the vocals are. Some moments are very, like I said, abstract, they're very brash, abrasive, but then they ultimately collide all together, making this beautiful harmonizing and great synergy vocally throughout the band. Beautiful harmonies are created, and then they're swarmed with this kind of aggressive instrumentation. This is really showcased at the end of Dragon Slayer. But if you really want some just plain straight up beautiful harmonizing with nothing too crazy going on, just really emotional swells, instrumentation swells, then look at the song Royal and Desire, because that is a fantastic piece. Another positive on this album is the use of percussions. Sometimes you get a fork and spoon-like texture going on, then you get like these congas, these bongos, and then you just combine it with a standard drum kit, and you just really get some unique instrumentation going on and rhythms going on. Each song is dressed in a unique style, really giving them their own voice. The Fork and Spoon song, if you really want to know, would be the song Car Keys. Another standout instrumentally on this album is the bass. I can't help it when I hear a groovy, direct bass line that is hooked and it's repeated and it just draws you in. Especially growing up listening to, like I said, the Beatles, Tame Impala, Pink Floyd, you're going to get that kind of addictive quality to a direct, clear bass player. And that's what's on this album. It's super funky at times. It has this sludgy groove at times, almost like the band Moonshake, if you're familiar with them. And then at times it has like the technical proggy moments that if you like progressive pop or rock, that it would suck you into. The bass, like I'm saying, just has at moments a voice that wants to be heard, and you're definitely going to hear it in these moments, especially key moments on this album that the band is trying to draw you into and really start creating a more busy atmosphere to kind of surround you and grip you into. The bass may fall down a little bit at the end of the album, but that's just because of the different style that's at the end of the album, which is a much more psychedelic, slower, much more atmospheric feeling. The ending of this album just wants to tuck you into bed. It just wants to give you some warm cocoa or some warm cider, whatever you want. Still though, even though it is slow, that does not mean that the emotion is removed, because again, there is immense swells, especially, I'm going to say it again, the song Royal in Desire, which is probably my favorite song of the entire album, and it just really, ties the bow on the album. For me personally, the best songs on the album is Dragon Slayer, it is Royal in Desire, it is Walker, and it is Cherokee. Now let's talk negatives, and again, there's not very many, there's just a few, and they're just kind of personal. Passerby is the one song on this album that I don't like as much. It reminds me a lot of the Black Keys when they did the album Turn Blue, and I was just not a fan of it. There was nothing really to grip onto instrumentally, and you're just kind of following these vocals that lead you to nowhere with no payoff. Another thing of this album is that it really doesn't have peaks. It may not have too many lows, but it doesn't really wow me at times. It is just kind of a steady listen all throughout. There are key moments of this album. There are little spots that happen. I think Cherokee has this almost like carnival sounding explosion in it, and that's probably the closest to a wow factor, I would say. But again, nothing that made me go a little too crazy. But the little section in We Go Back that has the hyper pop vocals almost made me do a front flip out of my chair. Altogether though, I really like this album. Like I was saying, there's a lot more positives than there are negatives. And when one of your negatives is being more consistent rather than having peaks and valleys, then that's not really that big of a negative, is it? I gotta go listen to more Animal Collective. This one was much more of a pleasant listen, which was nice to hear. But I know that they are known for more brash, more abstract, more abrasive style of music, so I definitely want to go check that out. With all that said, I'm going to give it 8.2 Pepsis out of 10. What did you think of this album? What albums would you like me to review in the future? Please leave a comment below and let me know. Subscribe if you like the content, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.